Hello and welcome to another episode of West Underground. But before we start, I just wanted to say, have you guys subscribed? Because it's never been a better time to subscribe than today. Because for the next 2 weeks, we're running a competition. So subscribe and then comment in the comments that you've subscribed, because we're picking 5 people to give away West Underground t-shirts to. So all you have to do is hit that subscribe button and tell us you've done it. And look, you will go into the chances of winning a shirt. But we're giving 5 away, so the odds are in your favour. Anyway, enjoy the video, guys. Hello and welcome to another episode of West Underground. Today we are privileged to have a band with us. They go by the name The Grand Union. I was just telling these boys off the air, the first time they ever messaged me, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if I was being offered a new superannuation package or what was going on. But anyway, I've learned to figure out that these guys are a hard rock band coming out of Sydney. And yeah, I'll throw the mic over to you boys. How'd you get the name The Grand Union?
Well, basically, we're here to do your superannuation fund today. And although we like to think of ourselves as a band from the past, we're also looking after your future.
All right. What's in the package? What do I get?
Whatever you like. Rowan, you know the details.
Yeah. Well, on the band name, it's kind of a moniker for where we all come from, because as you would have seen, Jack does not sound like he comes from Australia. He comes from the north of England. I'm from New Zealand. Some of the others are from Australia, and one of the others are from England. So it's kind of like a grand union of people and a grand union of musical mishmash ideas thrown together into one fine package. So that's where it came from.
I was convinced Jack came up from, North Queensland. I thought he resembles a bit like, Steve Irwin in the accent. And the department.
I'd be like, young fella, come here now. Let me tell you a little bit about this. The Grand Union superannuation package is here to look after you. Yeah, it's my accent. I feel will never leave me. I'm okay with that. Rowan still doesn't fully understand me anyway, so it's okay. That's why we get on so well.
I actually can't understand him at the best of times. Like, I actually have to ask him to slow down and really accentuate his words, and don't forget his vowels. But funny you say that, because he is actually coming to you from Queensland at the moment. From sunny, where are you?
Coolangatta Beach,
Yeah,
surrounded by beautiful, 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 beautiful plants and trees.
How'd you manage to do that, man? I thought they were trying to keep everyone out of New South Wales out of there. You managed to jump the border.
The problem is New South Wales really wanted to get rid of me. So Queensland was the easiest place for it to go. No, you know what, man? It was like, I came here to do some work, and the exemption and everything was a bit of a task. Yeah. And then obviously the 14 days of quarantine, but it's not that hard to just sit there and eat when they tell you to eat. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a lot to it, really. Got a bit of songwriting done in there. That was probably the best thing. I felt sorry for the neighbours next door, because it was just me singing
in the
falsettos that I have no business singing.
Oh man, did they knock on the walls or anything? Were they like, shut up, or did they leave you alone?
There was a little bit of that going on, but I just ignored it, which it isn't really that polite, but
See,
well, it's not.
They're just gonna have to get on with it.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's also probably not very polite on their end to bang on the walls and tell you to shut up. So
yeah, maybe they were doing something else. I don't know.
Well, I think you did the rock and roll thing, man.
I think now Jack's kind of got discovered that your shower is your own natural reverb chamber, basically. So we might go and record the next couple of songs in the bathroom, to get that natural reverb going, because you're coming up with all sorts of vocal harmonies from the shower. It sounds great.
The only issue is that when I get in the shower, And then I think of it, you know, when you're like, you've just started the shower, but you're already in the shower, you know?
Yeah.
You're not, you're thinking, I can get out now, but I am wet. Or I can just finish it. And then there I am, continuously singing something,
Yeah.
just so I can remember it. And, you know, finish my shower. We're all about efficiency at the Grand Union Superannuation Fund. And to then get out and record it on my phone. And by that point, it doesn't sound anything like it did 5 minutes before. But life goes on.
That's certainly true, man. And I think the good thing is once you're wet in the shower, you can't get really any wetter, can you? You've already taken care of that, side of things. So you may as well.
Wetter the better, I always say.
Well, you also got a music video with your wet hair as well, so you can stare in the camera with your wet hair and make yourself a music video. So it's a bit of a 2-in-1 in one place.
Okay, I can do that.
We could take that to the next level, I think.
When you boys joined this Zoom chat, I thought, well, really, we have John and Paul in the chat with us, and the Beatles had an experimental album with Sgt. Pepper's, and you guys can have your Sgt. Pepper's, but in the shower.
That's the new Yellow Submarine. It's the shower.
So how did you guys start the band or the super fun you guys were doing?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was a bit of a delay with it. I was just asking, how did you guys start this super fund or your super band, and when it happened?
Well, I guess you could say there was a merging of super funds. You know how sometimes they come together. So basically, over the last few years, myself, the guitarist Stu, and the drummer Mark, so we've been playing as a kind of nucleus for a number of years under different names. Most recently, it was Cloak and Dagger. And about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, we found Paul, who is the bassist. He's also from Northern England.
From Manchester.
Manchester. And so we were jamming with him, doing the Cloak and Dagger thing. And then we found Jack in about December last year, maybe January. I think I first met you January. It was love at first sight. And we decided that we would kind of reinvigorate or merge a couple of projects and, restart that Grand Union moniker again. And we did a couple of shows in January, February, March and May, and then hit the lockdown again. But been in the studio, recorded a bunch of stuff, recorded a bunch of live content. That's kind of how this iteration of the band has come together. I guess it's just two super funds merging into one.
By the way, for anyone in England that listen, super fund is a pension. Okay, I'm just here to translate for you and keep it real.
It's actually the same in New Zealand too. Yeah, so it's your pension, two pension funds. And with more funds comes more wealth, which means more returns, right? So away you go. We're investing in you, or you're investing in us, actually.
Man, you're really selling the package. I'm starting to get convinced.
I think we should have a career change.
Yeah.
We should go door to door.
Because you can offer optional extras, like we can give you funeral cover.
I beg your pardon.
Funeral cover, hail damage, all sorts.
Beautiful, man. I'll join if you throw in the OnlyFans as well.
Oh, that's complimentary.
Oh, beautiful. Done. Sold. But how do you boys work as a dynamic though? Because you've got so many people in the band from different worlds, and you've all kind of come together and created this Grand Union. Has it been an easy collaboration with you guys, or has it been a bit of battling around probably when the soccer's on for you?
Truth be told, for me, when I first came and jammed with the boys, when I sang with Stu, our guitarist, I've never sang with anyone before where I've thought this sounds quite good, right? And maybe I'm a selfish lover, maybe I'm a selfish singer, I don't know. But when I sing with Stu, it actually, I feel it when I sing with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And straight away, I was like, I was convinced that it could be something special just by the fact that it sounded so good when we like harmonized. And then Rowan, the first time like working with Rowan, watching Rowan literally put together a song and like how it should go, and like he's Rowan. I'll give you this. You're quite good at that. Don't get too excited by it.
I do like to do a bit of the arranging and cutting and conducting, basically. So a lot of the time, Stu will come up with the nucleus of the song. And you talk about the conflict point, like Stu, Marks, the drummer, and I have jammed for years, right? And in various different groups, cover stuff to originals. Yeah. And so we've just got a real easy relationship. So the rhythm and the nucleus of it is bedded down. There's not too much friction at all. In fact, there's no friction there. Stu will come up with something. He'll come to me. He'll come to now Jack. We had a bunch of songs before Jack started that we were working on, and we kind of finished those off in the studio this year. So a lot of the songwriting process was already done. And when we got Paul, we got a totally new flavor on bass. Like that dude's just a walking, finger-picking bass machine animal. So he brought a whole bunch of stuff to the equation, and it's actually, unfortunately, I guess it's really easy. Like I'd love to tell sort of war stories about, throwing bottles at each other, but it's actually really, really easy. I mean, of course, we have to have some discussions about what should remain and what should go, but that's, if you're not doing that, then you're not really pushing it.
Well, yeah, for sure, man. And I think you're blessed if it's easy. That is a great thing, and that means that something's working, that all the gears are working in motion together, which is fantastic. But you boys recently released a new track, and I just want to ask, like, what was kind of the inspiration behind it?
Yeah, so this you're referring to Darkest Horse. So I'd say that it started with a sort of lyrical or a theme that came through, which was basically like in real bare bones, good versus evil, you know. And, we always like to take heroes and villains and try and incorporate them into the song. And you'll notice that in some of the lyrics, some of the lyrics of the joke's on you and why aren't you laughing? I mean, I think everyone can kind of guess what that's a reference to. But the song also came about from thinking about military trials that were sort of good at the time, or people thought they were good, but they went spectacularly wrong and actually ended up kind of stuffing up humanity in some respects. And so that's where the sort of the lyric came from. And then in terms of the music, we wanted to recreate that kind of epic, grand, movie scene, chase through the sky, stuff going on in the desert, trials, bombs going off, jet planes flying through the sky. And so that's why in the middle of the song, there's that a cappella vocal only, which lovely Jack does. And then it cuts into the guitar solo, and it makes you feel like there's, fighter planes going across the sky. And it starts atmospheric, like it's kind of like you're in a barren desert or a big grassy field where they would conduct tests. And when you look at the video clip, that's exactly what we tried to replicate, because we did it on an old Air Force New South Wales facility. So we're on the landing strip in there, and you've got the grassy fields behind you. So yeah, I mean, it started with that idea of good versus evil and just kind of went from there. Wow, that's fantastic. And are you thinking about it in your head like that the whole time? Like, are you a visual thinker? Yeah. So soon, like these lyrics were written by Stu. As soon as he writes something, I'm thinking, what imagery can we use for this? And so you'll see that the cover art is the horse, obviously, Darkest Horse, but with a little parachute on it, right? Yeah. So it's one of those little slapstick comic parachutes, like they were dropping horses out of planes, in wars, like what the fuck? And so we try and weave that in with all the imagery, whether it's the cover art or the video clip, or try and match the lyric and music. Wow, man, my brain works a similar way. Like I always think of like music in terms of like like just visually kind of thinking about it. But it's cool to see that it's also, I'm not alone in that respect. Yeah. That's where your thoughts get weird. That's where you get creative. I mean, like, and sometimes Stu and I will bounce off each other on songs. Like if he's come up with the song, the genesis of the song, then often he'll just throw it over to me and go, well, what do you think this should look like? Or how should it be represented? And vice versa, it works in the reverse. Because sometimes when it's the song you've written and created, you kind of, you view it through one lens, and you kind of need other people to help you see what might be possible with the creative side of it.
I think it's important to remove ego when you're doing anything like that, because if you get too, this is how I think, and and if you need other people's ideas, there's no doubt in my mind that Paul McCartney went saying to John, no, leave it how it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, there's no way. So it's nice as well, and it's nice that there's that relationship between everyone in the band. To be honest, like we were saying before, I think the reason there's no fiction and things is because we are all a little bit older and a little bit wiser, and everyone's had the Jim Morrison phase. Some people go through it for a little bit longer than they should, and it's just, you find you've got to choose your hill to die on sometimes.
Yeah, that's very true, man. That's very true. And I think they're all lessons that you have to learn the hard way, and it's good to hear that you boys are on the other side of that now.
Don't get me wrong, I drank a half bottle of Gentleman Jack last night, but we're trying.
Isn't that
every day is another opportunity to be better.
That's
say it with me, Rowan.
Standard night on the Gold Coast, right?
Oh, yeah. Worth it. Worth it.
Yeah, I mean, like the other thing we mentioned, the ego point, like you can't be afraid to ask your band members for ideas and things. Like you've got to be open and honest and transparent about what you're doing, and you can't just hold your ideas and hold them so close and be afraid to let other people weigh in on them, critique them, commentate them. And an example that you just reminded me of, Jack, I had an idea for the cover art, and I was kind of stuck. And I was like, I like this. I don't like this. I think it'll be hard to execute. What do you reckon? And it was just as simple as picking up the phone. I mean, we're in the middle of lockdown, picking up the phone and going, here are my ideas. What do you think? Blah, 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 blah. And what Jack came up with was 10 times better. I was like, that's it. We're going with that. Like, stuff my idea, let go of my ego. We're going with that idea because it's better. And it's about recognizing in the band, I think, like acknowledging when someone's idea is better than yours and not letting your ego get in the way of that.
Yeah. 100%, man. And
have you just given me a compliment there, Rob?
Bit of a backhanded compliment, but yeah, I think so.
I'm liking this feeling. I'm gonna say,
just put it in the pocket and save it for later.
I will, definitely will.
Oh man, well this is going on to YouTube, so this is saved forever. So you can watch this and replay it as many times as you like, man.
I will, and my grandmother will, and my mother will.
We'll put a timestamp on it saying between this time and this time, Rohan made love to Jack over online.
A little bit of clickbait there.
It wouldn't be the first time, Paul. It would not be the first time.
Hopefully not the last.
Yeah, what if that was it? What if that was it for me now? He never listen up, people, he never compliments me ever again after that. There's your superannuation future. He never compliments me ever again.
I'm just hard to please.
That's in the fine print. That's in the fine print you don't see at the bottom.
Batteries not included.
Now, boys, like I suppose we're at a point now where this COVID shit is kind of starting to die down, and the world's starting to open up, and the future seems a bit brighter than it was a couple of months ago. Now, what are you fellas doing for shows and stuff like that? Have you got a bit of a plan and a strategy to attack this?
Yeah. So obviously Jack's up in the Gold Coast, and we'll be there, I think, till the end of November. Stu Maestro also moved to Canberra during lockdown. Fucking, great. But he's actually up here this weekend for the first time since May. I think since Frankie's gig in May. So I'm going to catch up, see him later today. So once the borders, the Canberra, the ACT New South Wales borders open, so he can come up and down as he pleases. Jack will be back, and then by December we'll be back on track. We have a big gig in December, which we can't disclose yet, but it will be announced on the 14th of November.
We're playing on the moon. I've said it. We're going to the moon. We're playing on the moon.
On the moon, yeah. Think of big gigs that happen in Sydney in December, and that's all I can say for now until next week. So we'll be hitting that as like a return, and also we won't do it as a Darkest Horse release because the song's already a little bit older now, but we will release another single on the night via streaming services. So we'll do that gig in December. We're back in the studio without Jack at the end of November. We're going to lay some beds down on a couple of the new songs that we've been writing in lockdown so that when Jack gets back, he'll be ready to do vocals on those. And then I think we're looking at a gig with Sab and the Duke of Enmore in the new year, January, February. So it'll be the big gig in December and then another one in January or Feb.
Duke of Enmore will be really good to play at.
Yeah. That's been on our list. She's a legend, just an amazing person, and we're stoked to get in there and play under her roof again, because it was always a lot of fun when we do it at Frankie's and she was there. So it'll be awesome to get down there to the Duke, which is my favorite watering hole in the inner west. So that'll be good. And then after that, we'll just see. We'll release another song in February. We are just waiting for everyone to be back together to record the video for that. So
nice, man. And it seems like you guys have got a busy plan ahead then.
Yeah, I'd say so. The thing about Stu and Jack is that they just pump out a mountain of songs. I wake up in the morning, my WhatsApp's full of messages and songs. So there's heaps of material. So because COVID interrupted our release, Darkest Horse was supposed to be released in July, and we just decided there's too much shit going on. It's just everyone's distracted at the moment. So we'll release it in September, October. We are actually sitting on the rest of the EP at the moment, which is a 5-track EP. So this other song will come out in December and then the next one in Feb. But by that time, we would have already recorded and finished the next one. So we'll just be quickly dropping out tracks. In the middle of lockdown, we did a gig at the Factory Theatre earlier in the year and got it live pro film. So we've just been releasing the live clips from that show, which has kind of tided us over, giving people something to look at and listen to. So yeah, we've got a jam-packed release schedule, and it'd be awesome to get back on stage to play some gigs.
Can you tell that Rowan looks after all of this for us? Can you tell? He is my superhero.
I think
he'll say, Jack, I need you here, or I need you to do this then, and I just go, okay, Rowan, I'll do it. I'll do it for you.
I think my official title is bandman, like band admin, just bandman. So that's
nice. And every band, I suppose, there's somebody who needs to take that role. But what would you say the roles of everyone in the band are? Because everyone's got their own unique kind of thing. You've got the driver, and you've got I don't know, what would you say the roles are?
I'll say it, and then Jack, you can give your take, because Jack's been with us 10 months now, so his perspective will probably be different, I guess, to mine. But for me, Stu is the chief creative songwriter. He's the sergeant at arms, in charge of that, and I reckon that's a pretty good characterization of him. Paul is the chilled, tall dude. Every band's
so
got a chilled, tall dude.
So tall.
I'm thinking Tom Hamilton from Aerosmith, and bands that just have that really chilled, tall dude who plays bass. And Mark's
Paul
our drummer
from the Addams Family.
Yeah, Mark's is an enigma. He is an absolute enigma. That guy, like, I reckon he must wake up and have 1,000 WhatsApp messages and doesn't respond to one of them. You don't even know that he's read it. He's just, you call him, it's like Batman. You put the bat signal up and he'll come, but otherwise you won't hear from him.
Honestly, it's quite possible that he's in the CIA. I'm just putting it out there because we don't know anything about him.
Nothing.
The more I get to learn about him, the less I know about him. Honestly,
I've known him for almost 10 years. And I've known him for 10 years, and it's like he is such a mystery, but the most pleasant, lovely man you'll ever meet. It's just, it is actually baffling. Like, yeah. So we call him the Enigma, really. And, you know, Jack's, you know, hot spunk, basically. That's him. That's how I think of
The
him.
front man.
That's two compliments for you today, and I'm going to cut it at there. But Jack's got an amazing melodic ear, like amazing for vocal harmonies, for writing melodies, for writing lyrics. He is, I'd call him the fun one, if I could say it that way. I can always count on him to be with me at the end of the bar, at the end of the night, basically.
I'm going to start crying. This is, so I want to thank my mom. I want to thank the academy. That's really, really sweet, Rowan.
I think you just like wrapped up like 3 compliments into one there. You said that Jack's bringing the sex appeal, you're bringing the fun, and wait, what was that? There was one more I think you slipped in there.
Yeah, let me hear it again.
I don't know. I slipped it into your DMs. You just have to take a look.
I like that.
Oh, I will.
Smooth.
Nice.
See, I think of it as Stu is like a 10-year-old boy in a candy store, right? And nothing is off the table. Nothing is unreachable. Nothing is unattainable. And then the rest of us are just trying to. You've had too many sweets today, Stu. Come on. Let's be smart. And you know, because he has that many ideas, it's ridiculous, isn't it, Rowan? Yeah. He's honestly, I've never met anyone so prolific for just knocking out and anything like for finishing songs. That I can't say enough nice things about the man, to be honest.
Yeah, the volume is incredible.
And it's quality as well. It's not like it's just quantity. He's very, very, very talented, Stu. He's very talented. And he can sing as well. And sometimes I think, oh, I'm stealing a living here. I am stealing a living because he's so good. He is really good. I've probably just removed myself from the band by saying that. He'll be like, I don't need you anymore. But Paul, I love Paul, the bass player, because he's from 38 miles from where I'm born. You know, he's just to have someone who understands, you know, humor and culture and everything.
Yeah.
The only problem with Paul is he's about 9 feet tall. That is literally the only issue I have with him. He's so tall, and if you stand next to him on stage, you know, if he goes in front of you for a minute, you disappear.
I can eclipse.
You're just gone. You're gone. Yeah, Marcus, as I said before, he's an enigma, but as a drummer, the man's just solid. He's solid in everything he does. I think of him like Ringo, where he just wants to go to his octopus's garden, and he just wants to be left alone. And then you tell him when there's a gig, and he'll just be there, and he'll be amazing. And then he leaves. You don't see him again for a while. Rowan, I'm not saying anything nice about you. There's been enough compliments on this show. Not on my watch. We're not going over the 10 compliment limit. But no, Rowan's like, I feel like I've got a brother relationship with Rowan. I feel like he kind of knows when I need to hear certain things, like what's just happened before. And then he can tell me when I need to be told. And I think and he's not a bad guitarist either.
So I'm like the mother hen, basically, is what you're saying.
Basically, yeah.
That's very nice. Very sweet of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, this interview's turned out to be warm and fuzzy. Was not expecting.
well, I think this is our like this is a first that this has happened on one of these podcasts. I mean, we've had a lot of nice things, but I think this one has been the nicest, kindest interview we've had so far.
Maybe it's just because we haven't seen each other in the flesh for like 5 months,
that could be it.
and we're all sticking, and then we'll see each other, and then the compliments will stop. But no, I think it's all genuine. It's very nice.
Well, we'll have to do part 2 now. After you've all seen each other and caught up for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Around each other's throats.
Now, guys, as a band, have you had any like real moments together where you thought, oh man, this is like a proper rock and roll moment here? Like this is either like any band's dream, or this is like a Spinal Tap moment. Either way, have you had either one?
Jack?
I am pleading the fifth.
So I think so. Just before lockdown, we released Cathedral of Pain, which was the first single. We'd put a couple of tracks on. We created our streaming accounts and whatnot. Put a couple of teaser tracks up there that we'd worked on. We released Cathedral of Pain, and we coincided it with a Frankie's gig, right? And in various iterations in other bands, I played there. Oh man, like since it started, played there. I can't count how many times, right? So it's a very familiar place, and it's a familiar stage, and it's just it's got that vibe to it. When we released Cathedral of Pain, we had the t-shirts, we had the merch, we had everything sorted and locked. We'd been rehearsing heaps, we'd done all the studio stuff. And when the curtain opened and it was like a sea of people,
yeah,
I just thought, I've stood here so many times, but this is different. People are listening, people are watching, people are buying, people are really getting into it. And it's not just your mates and your family and your friend. There are other people around here coming to watch. And at that moment, I was like, yeah, this is cool. And then, the gig was over in a flash.
Yeah.
Packed house, awesome. So there, in this new iteration of the Grand Union, or the meshing of the super funds, I'd say that is the first moment we've had. And we really only had from January to May until that. Also, I'd say filming the video clip for Darkest Source was a little bit rock star. That was fun, having, video crews, getting told off, getting the Rangers coming down, typical stuff that you'd expect. So yeah, that also was cool. Filming videos always makes you feel like a rock star. It's fun. It's like the best part. I mean, it's the worst part because you have to do the same thing 20 times in one day. It's also the best part.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on the Frankie's gig, man. When that curtain opens, it's like just palpable, you know what I mean? And it's that thing of, because you have an idea of how many people are outside, how many people are in there. And then when you see them, there's always that moment in my heart, and I go, oh, thank God for that.
Yeah.
If they're still there by the end of the gig, that's another one I pride myself on.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Were you guys opening or headlining that gig at Frankie's?
Headlining, yeah.
Headline, nice.
Yeah, because it was the release of Cathedral. Yeah, headlining that one. And I think
it's so long ago.
Yeah, I know. It feels like an age ago. Like, I've played there so many times. That one just felt different.
Yeah.
Just felt different. Like, the factory was cool, right? But everyone was still sitting down for that, like completely sitting down, and there were restrictions. So it's always hard to judge when the crowd is sitting down, as we've had to experience for the last 18 months or so. But that one was just different. And it was just such a shame that everything got cut, only 2 or 3 weeks later, but it was good to be able to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like I've found it very hard to have like a lot of any motivation to go to gigs and stuff while this COVID thing's been happening, just because it's like I don't want to have a big boogieing in the chair. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but it's good to like hear that you guys have had that moment of Frankie's where I think that's really what any band like wants, and that's a really good sign. That means you've got the green flag once you start doing gigs, and you've got people there that you don't know, and they're digging what you're doing. And yeah, man, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I think it makes you approach songwriting a little differently as well.
Yeah.
When we played that Frankie's the Factory, sorry, and it was seated, and it was a bit like there was an English TV show called Phoenix Nights. Felt like I can't explain it. And I love the Factory, but there's something just audition feel about it. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like we were a school band on the stage. That's how it felt. And I think a lot of it, you then start to think, well, you can't go and play a rock show because if you don't want to see a rock show if you're sat there. So you have to change, and you have to think about the songs you're writing, and it helps you out because then you're appealing to more people in general anyway.
Yeah.
If you can cover a few bases and genres, and try and give it so that everyone can then like it and enjoy it a bit more, even if they are sat down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we try, and a lot of the set list has a common theme to it, right? It's hard rock. It's bluesy hard rock with, soulful singing elements and a little bit of indie. There's a common thread throughout it, but all the songs are quite different. And some of them are quite dynamic. Slow parts, instrumental parts, heavier parts. We try and build a set list around the venue. We always tailor it to the venue, always tailor it to the time of night, or it's a day gig or an evening gig, and try and mix things up. And, we did that for seated and non-seated gigs. We'll kind of change what is in there to suit the audience and the crowd. I think you have to. You can't, it's fun, but it's not as fun getting your head blasted off when you're just sitting there, like just jump around.
Doing a bit of knit.
Yeah. So
the only time
just doing Sudoku, like sitting there doing Sudoku while the band's playing.
That's it, man. The only time I've heard it sounding like fun is we interviewed this band from the Shire, and they were telling us they did a gig where everybody just picked up the chairs because they weren't like bolted to the ground, so everyone's just running around the room with their cities whilst seated in the chair.
I mean, it's technically correct, so why not?
Yeah, and I was like, man, that sounds like a blast. And the security are trying to calm everyone down and tell them to put the chairs on the floor. Oh, man.
I'm just getting visions of like WWE, right? Where they pick up chairs and they start throwing them and they body slamming on the ground. That's what I'm
What was the band called?
They were called the
Musical
Radicals.
Chairs.
Oh,
Got him.
Oh, man.
Thank you.
And dude, when we were talking before about you guys recording music, I had a question in my mind, but now I kind of want to go back to it and just ask, like, how do you guys like record music? Are you fellas going into the studio and doing it all in there, or are you going there and recording drums and doing the rest at home on Logic and stuff, or what's the process?
To date, it has all been in the studio. So we record with a guy called Michael Carpenter out of Love Hurts Studio in Leichhardt.
Genius. The man's a genius.
Absolute, just a monster. Like just
Willy Wonka.
Oh man, and that chocolate factory is so cool because he lets us come in there and play with all of the toys, right? He's got guitars lined up all around the walls, drum racks full of drums, fiddles, mandolins. I've used them before. Steel string acoustics, 12 strings, everything, you name it, he's got it. Organs, pianos. So we will generally like write the stuff at home. We used to use I think Stu had an old 8 or 12 track that we used to literally plug in at the rehearsal studio and do it that way. And then we got a little bit more sort of sophisticated with iPhones and external mics and whatnot. And we would get the bed of the track down on that. Yeah. Everyone would go home. work on their parts, work on their arrangements, so that when it came time to coming into the studio with Michael, we basically pre-produced it already.
Yeah.
And we'll generally start with recording the drums first. And he's a drummer, right? And he's a fantastic drummer. So he sets up the drums and just makes everything perfect. We literally just walk in, cut the drums, do a couple of live takes in the room just to get the feel, and then record all of our parts separately.
Yeah.
We've done some songs where we are all in the control room just playing, and some of them you don't want the feedback coming through, or you don't want instruments bleeding into the amps. So we'll just record the parts separately, jump in the vocal booth, Jack does his magic, and that's kind of the songs. And we can bust out, easily a couple of songs a day with him. He mixes on the fly, so he cuts it and mixes it all right there in front of us, which is amazing. So the process is really quick. Stu's used them for a bunch of stuff. I've used them before. Everyone's kind of used them. So there's a really good producer relationship there. Now, given Stu's in Canberra, he's recording a lot of stuff in a home studio that he's built himself. So he's doing that and sending us the beds for us to play along with and to make up our parts. TBC, so we'll be trying it in November, whether we use the beds of what he's done or we just, rip it up in the studio and lay the beds down of these new songs. So, yeah, we've always found it very smooth and easy with Michael. He's like just a genius, an actual musical genius. He has this little piano, right? When you're out of tune, when you're in the vocal booth or whatever, he holds up this little piano, just dings on the note to kind of get you there. He totally guides you. He's amazing.
Does he? He's never have to use that for me.
Yeah, right, sure.
No, honestly, there's just something about going in there, and like I never used to enjoy the recording process until I came here and like with the Grand Union. I just never. It always felt a bit like the ugly sister, you know what I mean? You've been stuck with her for a while. You didn't know that her sister was Angelina Jolie, but you're there. And when I met, like when I went in with Michael, and just like even for overdubs and things like that, he will try anything you ask him to,
Yeah.
Like there's a couple of tracks we did. Was it May or when was it June, Rowan?
It was in May. Start of May.
Those couple of tracks.
Yeah.
And like some of the overdubs in the song are just. He's a very, very brilliant man.
Yeah. So
I don't think he even likes me, but I love him.
I know it's quite funny. Like every time there's a running joke that I want to go and re-record the guitars always, right? Or just like, I like to give him a little bit of a heart attack every now and then by saying, you know what? I just want to come back in and do all these guitars again. Or when I get to the studio and he just gives me this look, he's like, you are not fucking doing those guitars again. That is it. But he plays, his kind of forte of what he plays is a lot of classic rock, a lot of pop, and a lot of country. So he has his own original bands and he does gigs all up and down the coast, Australia, Perth, everything worldwide. And he also does a lot of pop music, and he plays in a lot of cover bands, notably Beatles cover bands, and also does a lot of rockabilly stuff in Sydney in the inner west. Anyway, the point of this is that he's not recording day in and day out our stuff, right? Our genre or our type of music. And so there's always been this mutual challenge where we're challenging him to think about things in the way that we think about them. And he challenges us to think about ways that he thinks about, right? So sometimes that will be, different arrangements, different vocal harmonies, and different guitar parts. Yeah. And I think there's this kind of energy. What I'm trying to say is if we were just going into the studio with someone who liked our type of music, played our type of music, we'd probably just sound really generic, but we get tested.
Yeah, I think that's what you want too, because I don't want you, like if you guys go in there and you have somebody that likes your music and likes you don't want them going like, oh, that was brilliant, and clapping every decision you make, which would probably be good for your ego, but it would suck for your music, because then you would end up just putting out shit because you're like, old mate over here says that everything we do is brilliant,
Yeah.
So I think that's a good relationship to have.
I was doing a vocal on a song. I can't remember which song, and he pressed, you know, he stopped it and he said, "You're singing this really well. Perform it for me." And it was like a light bulb, you know. I can sit there and try and sing it as perfectly as I can, but it's putting the performance in.
Yeah.
You know, if you're telling a story or whatever, and I think he's a massive. He deserves massive credit for what he's done with us.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And what the journey that he takes us on every time, he is not afraid to tell you something shit. Like he'll just flat, he'll go, "That's shit." No. But he's not afraid to try it. He'll always try it. We'll always try an idea. We'll always put it down. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, that's, you know, at least he tells you it's shit after you've tried it. You know, that's the main thing.
Yeah. I feel like it's also therapy going there. Like when I come out, I feel like this range of emotions, it's cathartic. It's like, you know, invigorating, but it's also like, fuck, that hurt. My pride got dented a bit there. But, you know, you come out of it better.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. It's always good to have the ego sandpapered a little bit here and there.
Oh, no, he's just got a grinder. He's fucking grinding down.
Oh man. And like you were saying before, like when you go in there, he's got all these toys on the wall. Like, is that ever an option in the back of your mind going, fuck, we didn't come in here planning on having a bit of organ on the track, but seeing as it's here, I'm tempted to get one of those and hook up a sitar and do all that kind of and have a like, does it ever ponder your mind?
Oh no, he lets us do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We've got a track which won't be released for a while, but I think it's very, very, very good. And there's like 14 Japanese wind instruments on it. And it's honestly brilliant. And he's just got that on like the top shelf. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's candy stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely, we put organ, we put pianos on things. He's got a couple of really nice old pianos. Just, you'll walk past it and go, you know, I was thinking about this for the song and I'm a bit afraid to try it. And he'd go, do it, just try it, do it. And, you know, there was one night where I remember it was me and him in a studio till about 12:30 or 1 a.m. laying electric mandolin overdubs. Right? Like that was never part of the song. That was never supposed to be part of the equation. But once you get going, it's so fun.
Yeah. Well, man, that's awesome. I'm glad that you guys have, you know, like, because I would be tempted to do all that kind of shit. If you walked in there and said, "Oh, you've got this," I'd be like, "Oh, can I have it? Can I touch that one?"
There are some things that are off limits, but by and large, he kind of lets you go.
Yeah. As long as you don't, you know, trying to play hard rock on a banjo, I think that's where you probably have to draw the line. Yeah.
No, I'm just waiting till we can write a song where I've always wanted to do one of those like 80s rock moments where you bash the gong. He's got one of those. Like, surely we can incorporate that. I mean, we've thrown a lot of stuff in there, but that would be a moment.
Yeah, you'll have to write a song, you know, bang the gong.
Yeah.
Get it on.
That's what I was thinking.
Could be interpreted in other ways for people in Wollongong, but yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, man. You have to do your spin on it.
That's part of it.
Yeah, maybe we got that look to look forward to. You know,
we'll just have a 3-minute song of us hitting the gong.
The Grand Union with Wollongong and the Dirty Gong, or, you know, just you guys just bashing it.
You might not do so well.
Well, I don't know, man. How did we end up here?
I don't know.
Let's
How
I've got a
did we
question.
get here?
So do you guys have like any like interstate or out of state gigs you like to play in the future? Like, would you like go to New Zealand or even England as well? Go back to your home countries and play? Was that like the
everywhere, man?
Everywhere.
I think to go and play England again. There's something. the Australian music scene and the English music scene is two completely different things. And I was saying this to the boys. I was like, I'd love to go. I've still got a lot of contacts at home. I didn't burn all those bridges. So it'd be amazing to go around the UK. I think we'll wait and see what happens in regards to that bleeding disease that everybody keeps talking about, and then and then we can start looking at doing it, because it's to see Rowan in the middle of Liverpool at 3 a.m. eating a kebab is why I got into music.
Great. I mean, we've done that in Wollongong, but Liverpool would be unreal. Stu and Marks used to live together in London, right? So they used to play in bands over there. And obviously Jack and Paul have lived over that way and played in bands. So those guys have done that a lot, and it would be really cool to take it all back over. That would definitely be on the bucket list. Further north, we'd love to get up to Queensland. So as soon as we can do that without having to quarantine, we've, through the release of Darkest Horse, have met a few bookers and promoters up there who are really keen to get us up. So I think that's, as well as the Central Coast, those are probably the next targets, Central Coast and basically all the way up the coast up into Queensland. And Mark, the drummer, is from Townsville, right?
So he says.
Yeah, well.
But what do you really know about him?
Nothing.
We'll
And
have
then
to
the
play. We'll have to play every time. When you said that, I just wanted to give the editors a note to play the what's it called, the X-Files music over that.
Mulder and Scully.
But I think that's the circuit, yeah, like all up the north coast, all the way up to Brisbane and the Gold Coast. Like you can play all along there. You're pretty much, as long as you guys are booking the gigs up there. I mean, that do it. Yeah.
The other one that we're hitting is Canberra, with obviously Stu now there for a few more months.
Yeah.
He's doing a couple of gigs at the Basement coming up with some solo stuff and some cover stuff. So that'd be another place to go play. So that's on the list too.
Nice, man.
Good.
When you were thinking about going to Queensland, will you guys drive all the way up and do everywhere on the way?
I guess it just depends how the dates are booked.
Yeah.
I would say we'll probably do a Central Coast thing.
Yeah.
And then maybe do a come back and then maybe do a fly up. But I'm all for the road trip. Like,
yeah, man.
I don't know.
It's quite a nice drive.
Yeah.
But with me in a car for that long, come on.
Yeah.
I can't even stay in this mine for that long. No way. I was nearly throwing myself out of the car on the way up here.
Yeah, and I think it depends how far north we're going, right? Like if we're going well up, then maybe we start in the Gold Coast and go up from there. But let's see. I'm talking to a promoter at the moment about getting some shows up there, so it'll just depend on the schedule.
Yeah. What's after the Gold Coast? Like like when you're going up, like what's after that?
I'd be hitting.
Probably
What do you mean?
Brisbane. Brisbane's only 40 minutes away from Gold Coast.
Yeah, but
Brisbane,
I mean, once you
yeah.
get past the cities, I mean, what's after that? It's just like all.
I think it's a freeway.
Yeah, it's just crocodiles.
It quite literally is.
Yeah.
Just some rainforests. I mean, I don't know.
Bear in mind, I am your boots on the ground Queensland reporter here.
Yeah. We can just channel some deep forest in Enya and I don't know, go record our Earth, Wind and Fire album in the forest or something like that. I don't know, on the way up.
Yeah, man. We'll be once you get past what's it up? It's like, is it Cairns that's up there? Like and then past that, I remember as a kid, it was like nothing. Everything kind of disappears except for these little towns, and then you've got Cape York. In between there's just a lot of crocodiles.
It's basically from there, everything can kill you, like everything.
Yeah, literally.
You've got many ways to go. It could be shark, crocodile, jellyfish, scorpion, spider, snake. I mean, fuck, even the COVID. Yeah, okay.
What about that one?
But yeah, so I mean, I'm all for the experience, but I would like to make it back.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like when you said you were going to do some gigs up north, I got very scared and concerned for your safety.
Thank you. Thank you.
You'll be driving the bus.
Oh man, thank you. That'd be a
But-
fun job.
But it's okay because we all
can
have
come with
health
us.
insurance and superannuation funds.
That's it.
Like
That's the one.
with insurance, so it's fine. Like if something happens, we'll be okay,
Yeah, covered.
Or your family will.
right? Health insurance.
Synchronization.
Ah, from the that's it. But yeah, like have you guys gone down south at all? Like you said Wollongong, but have you gone any further down that way?
Let me think. In previous iterations, not since Jack's been with us, no. But Wollongong, Dubbo, Orange. I mean, that's not south, obviously.
Oh, you've been to my hometown, mate. You've been to Dubbo. That's
Oh yeah. Where did we play in Dubbo? We played at a really cool place that was like, it looked like a ski chateau, all wooden on the inside, like a lodge with many different rooms.
was that
Do
the
you know?
bank, like the old bank?
Yeah.
Like it looks
was.
like a really old building on the outside.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
the
yeah,
bank. Yeah, we played there.
yeah.
It was
Yeah,
cool.
man. Yeah,
I felt
that-
like I was in a ski lodge, but I was in Dubbo, and I was like, can't see any mountains or snow here.
I love hearing story about your exes. Carry on.
Oh man, was it in summer or winter you went up?
Winter.
Wow, you're lucky, man. You did like you would have melted in the summer.
You know, the only thing I actually wanted to do was go to the zoo.
You didn't do it?
Nah, because we were told you'd need like a good few hours, and we had to get back for a gig in Orange.
Yeah, man. You don't need a good few hours. You need days. Like it's so
You're right.
spread out. You need to either drive, which I recommend you do. Don't take the bicycles. Forget the bicycles because
Yeah.
otherwise you'll die.
Mm.
Just
Someone
that
told
big.
us that.
Yeah.
But you die because like you get hit by an elephant or something, right? Or eaten.
Well, there's totally that possibility. There's only an electric fence in between you and the elephants and everything else. I mean, but you just drive because the it's so big that if you decide to take the bicycle, you realize how much pedaling you'll be doing all day, and you'll be lucky to come back.
I like the
The-
idea that Richard Attenborough is stood there saying, "Welcome to Jurassic Park."
That's exactly what I was
Walking.
saying. That's exactly what I was thinking. Is that when you mentioned the electric wire and seeing the animals, all I can think about is Jurassic Park. That's
Yeah.
number
Yeah,
one.
literally. And the scary thing is too, like when you go there, all the roads are up here and the animals are down there. So the animals can't really jump out because there's that distance of height, but you theoretically can jump in.
That's yeah. And it's like I saw a couple of videos of people jumping into the lion enclosures, and you're like, "What are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
Why?"
Yeah.
No, not recommended. That is that your health insurance will not cover that. Okay, so
I think if you're dumb enough to jump into a lion enclosure, you probably deserve the outcome.
Mm.
Well, I think that's
Imagine
probably-
being like one of the trainers or whatever, and they're like, "I'm not going in there."
well,
yeah,
You think they're not going to eat me too because I work here? Come on,
yeah.
Unless
man.
my
you're,
pay grade.
I think
unless
the
you're Tiger
trainers are
King.
happy when that happens, man, because they're like, oh, we don't have to feed them tonight, you know. I can go home now.
And they look like a nice pair of shoes too.
Yeah. Put them through the wash, you know. But what was Orange like for you guys? You did that in winter. You might have got a little bit of snow.
Trying to think. We stayed at a motel next to a Hungry Jack's, which was next to like a Burger King. No, Burger King is Hungry Jack's.
Yeah.
And we played at this place. We played at a pub which was next to some railway tracks,
yeah.
right next to a railway crossing. That was cool. That was actually really cool, actually. Real locals pub. Real,
Yeah.
like, you know, straight up and down,
Yeah.
rock and roll, ready for, you know, a good
Yeah.
time. That was cool. No snow, but it was good. Yeah,
Yeah.
enjoyed
Nice, man. Did you go to the Hoe? There's one pub in Orange, and all the locals call it because it's like called Hotel Orange, and they all call it the Hoe. And I find it the funniest thing ever. It's like we're all going to the Hoe tonight, and
Is that on the main street?
Every bloke
Yeah.
in here's been through the hoe.
Yeah,
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 we
yeah, that's it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Is there a park across the road from it?
Oh, I think so, man. When I
Yeah.
went, I can't really remember my memory of going there. Like I went there a year ago and it's really patchy. But I remember going in there and it's all young people and it was just madness. Like there's kids on the roof, you know.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, and security's like get off the roof and there's like a army of like 20 people all jumping on the roof telling security to fuck off. And,
People run around with the chairs.
oh yeah, well people are throwing the chairs there, man.
Oh, really?
They're
Yeah.
not sitting on any chairs.
Yeah,
It was proper Wild West experience, you know.
it's
I
just
thought
fun. It's fun playing shows out of Sydney. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Sydney is great. It's just different, and things are just a bit more relaxed and rough and kind of
Yeah,
just
yeah,
fun out of Sydney. Like anything goes.
yeah,
Do what you want.
yeah. I think if you want like that 80s portrayal of Australia, like that, the Paul Hogan experience of Australia, you just have to go out like into rural New South Wales, like head
Yeah.
up that way and you'll get it.
Yeah. We played a gig in DY a couple of years ago, and I can't remember the name of the place, but it was like you were stepping into another world. Like it was almost like it was regional there, and that was cool. I like playing gigs in places that surprise you, that
Yeah.
and that are new.
Yeah,
So I'm really itching to get back out.
yeah.
I'd like
man.
to go and play Melbourne.
Oh,
Yeah.
Melbourne would be great. Yeah, that's amazing. There's a lot of good bands down there in Melbourne.
Yeah, and that's different again. Like that's a whole new scene. I'm just wondering, like, a question for you, Jack. What would you say, like, the difference is between like Australia's music scene and the UK's music scene? Like, what are the obvious differences?
Genre wise, there's a lot of differences. When I first got here, I made an offhanded comment, probably after half a bottle of Gentleman Jack, that I didn't think Australian music was as good as British music. And I said, because what do you have? You have lockdown, the lockout laws. And I was like, you live in paradise. It's always sunny. Women are beautiful. The beaches. I was like, I think there's a reason that, some, in my personal opinion, the best bands ever are British, and it's because it's grey, opportunities are down. It's not a nice place to grow up, and that goes then into music. How wrong was I with that offhanded comment after the half bottle of Gentleman Jack? That's when I found the clarity in it, and it's different, man. It's just like the thing is, unfortunately, we're all living in a world now where, Justin Bieber and The Weeknd and things like that, that is what is the common thing. When you ask someone and you're talking to someone about music, how much does it break your heart when, their favorite artist is that? And I get that you can like what you like, but it's more, I think people in Australia are actually probably more willing to go to shows.
Yeah, because
they like going out and a bit of live music on and on. Like
yeah,
in Britain. See, I'm from Liverpool, right? And for a city that goes on about we created music, those Beatles, they were us. It's very hard to get people to go to a gig on a Friday night.
Yeah,
and it really is. It's not there. I think Australia in general, the more thing, it's a more positive place to create music, and it's a more positive place to play.
Yeah,
and that sunshine has a little bit to do with
it. I think you're probably right, man. But I think when you go to Melbourne, like have you been to Melbourne yet? Have you gone down there?
Yeah. It's as cold as anywhere in England. When I went there, I was like, I could be in Manchester, for example.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful city, though, man. It's a beautiful city.
Yeah.
But the weather was a bit too much, but it was a bit too like home for me, that.
um, but did it remind you? Did it like remind you of like your home a little bit by like no lockout laws and all that kind of stuff is kind of reversed there?
There's a different vibe in Melbourne altogether. I feel Melbourne feels artsy. I don't necessarily know whether it is, but it's got that. And I know it's like it could be like any metropolitan city, but it's got like a bohemian nature about it, Melbourne.
Yeah.
So I would like to go and play it just to see, as Rowan said, it's good to just try it, to just experience it.
Yeah.
Would they like us more? Would they like us less? You know what I mean? Because that's a very real thing. You've got to be quite, where are we going to play venue wise as well, where you're going to get the kind of people who are going to like your music. I played a gig at home in Leicester at this venue, and I don't think the promoter ever listened to the music before we got booked onto it. And it was a heavy metal gig, and we were not a heavy metal band, right? And every band, and it was like, like Scream and Screamo and whatever. And we couldn't have been more the odd one out on that lineup. There was nothing about the lineup that was like, and we were main support. And I remember going on stage, and that was one of those moments where I thought, you're not going to get the people on this one, Jack.
Yeah.
It wasn't a situation that I could achieve great things. After it, people were like, oh yeah, good show. And like, oh, not my thing, but I enjoyed it, which is nice. But you have to think about that when you're booking gigs, of
Absolutely.
making sure and what lineup you're going to be on, because I don't ever want to be the main support in Leicester ever again. And with people just looking at me with hate and disgust in their eyes. So Rowan, you need to be making a note of that.
Yeah,
it's good advice as well.
Yeah.
Play the right gigs. Play the right gig.
Time,
Don't play every gig. Play the right gig.
Yeah, the show sounds good, but look at the bands as well. Look at everything.
Yeah.
So we're not going to see Grand Union at the Country Music Festival next year.
I know you will. You will. I think we do quite well there.
That's a variety. I think that's a variety of those festivals, so it'll be good.
I've always wanted to go up to Tamworth. That'd be cool.
Yeah, man.
Well, it's quite funny. It's quite funny because I'm a little bit country, and Rowan's a little bit rock and roll.
Yeah.
Mix.
I reckon we can make it work for sure.
Yeah. Now you might have to look into to going up there, boys, because it's quite interesting. It's like its own little world.
Yeah.
But yeah. Now I was going to say, what about festivals for you guys? Have you tried to book yourselves on some kind of smaller little festivals to suit your music?
Yeah, we did a mini fest in the Hawkesbury a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. That was probably the main one. It was like an all-day thing. We played probably about 7 or 8 at night. But other than that, in the new, the 2020, what year is it? 2021 Grand Union, now with Jack on here.
Yeah.
No festivals planned as yet, but obviously we, take it if it's the right festival and it's awesome.
Oh no, any festival is worth it, man.
Yeah.
There's something about like the open top stage, or even in the tent. There's something different about that. And the thing is as well, there's nobody who goes to a festival like that, especially if it's a camping one, that's being dragged there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like where your mate in the footy team, you were supposed to meet him on Friday, but your cousin's band's playing, so he's going to come with you now. He's been dragged to that gig. A festival is people who are all going for the same thing. If you're going and looking at like the introducing stages and watching new bands, you're there for that.
Yeah.
So they're easier people to get on your side as well.
I mean, we've all been it. Everyone's done it as a spectator. You're there at 10, 11 a.m. whether the gumboots are on, the poncho, or the shirt's off or whatever. You're in the front row, you're
Yeah.
standing at the front of the crowd, and you're watching stuff that you would not necessarily watch on a Friday or a Saturday night if you're out in town. Like you
Yeah.
are there to take in new things and listen to music, and that's the cool thing about them, is you can discover so much.
We just want to be entertained, and people, that's all they want.
Yeah.
You know, they just give them something that, like it's quite ridiculous, like in the grand scheme of things, when you think about music and gigs and whatever.
Yeah.
But if for like 35 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour, people can just forget about the shit going on in their lives. And COVID's the greatest example of that, of where it's just a constant worry and stress.
Yeah.
And if for 45 minutes or an hour, you can forget about that, for me, that's kind of it. Although it used to be, I'm going to be the biggest rock star on the planet, and my ego would just live very front and center. Now it's actually about just giving people something,
Yeah.
if they want it, to just take them away,
Yeah. I think also with the booking thing, we were talking to some guys about a festival in October and November, and that was in, April, May, and then all this shit happened. We haven't seen a huge amount come back online yet.
Yeah.
People are still not wanting to, put money into things on a unscheduled, or like on a chance that things can get shut down, or they can't plan, or borders aren't open. So we're in contact with people, but a lot of others are still very hesitant at the moment. But I mean, obviously, if anyone's listening, fucking here we are. We're ready. We're ready to go. So we'll, love to get back out there on the festival scene. But we just sense a bit of trepidation at the moment from people.
Well, yeah.
I get it. I get
Yeah.
that, because there's been so much to be unsure about.
Yeah.
Literally. But what would you say, before, like, we're gonna have to start wrapping this. Actually, Paul, I might throw this over to you, mate. We'll start wrapping up this interview, but you haven't asked your most famous question.
Oh, since you guys have done a few gigs already, do you guys prefer to play at a great venue or with a great lineup?
When you say great venue, do you mean like crowd or like the venue?
Well, what would bring better, a great venue or a great lineup?
Venue. Fuck yeah.
Venue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 50-50. The answer's been 50-50 actually.
I want
people to go home and think, oh, what, that gig was definitely value for money. Of course you want that. But you're lying if you're saying you don't want to be the best on the bill.
Yeah.
Come on.
Actually, I like that. That's a good way of thinking. Being the best on the bill.
For me, yeah, like for me, we have played on bills before, even this year, where the genre lineups didn't line up exactly right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking back to one mosh pit gig that we did, and it was like,
What
I don't know
did
whether
I
we
tell
stepped
you
in.
about the right gigs at every gig.
What did
Did
you
we
have
step
to?
in, or someone stepped in for us, and it just like, but for me, it doesn't matter, because you're there to win the crowd over.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter what the other bands are. If you do your job and you do it fucking right, then you'll win the crowd over. And I'd rather win the venue and the crowd than worry about, who else is on the bill. Because if you're good enough, you've entertained and you've done your job.
Yeah, I agree with you, except if you're opening for the Wiggles. Yeah.
Well, you make it work.
Well, then you wouldn't be the best on the lineup.
You've
Hang
already
on.
accepted defeat before you
Yeah.
step on stage. Oh.
But if you're opening for the Wiggles, haven't you kind of made it? Like,
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, once you've opened, you've kind of got your name out there already.
Well, depends if you're opening for the new ones All the
Oh,
old ones.
the original ones, yeah, the 18
Yeah.
plus one, 18 plus
The-
show original
The
ones.
the OG Wiggles.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're opening for those guys, you've made it. If you're opening for the other ones, maybe. I don't know. You're probably reaching the wrong demographic.
But the
Yeah,
18,
you're right,
the
man.
original 18 plus shows that they do.
No,
Yeah,
that
definitely.
Jack, maybe we'll add that to the whiteboard. I think that could be one of the
Yeah.
goals for 2022.
My dream. What do they call them? My dream board.
Yeah,
Bucket list.
I obviously haven't
yeah.
got one. Now I'm gonna get one. The Wiggles. The Wiggles.
Have you bumped into any of the fellas while you've been playing around Sydney?
the Wiggles.
Well, one of them.
I did see one at a pub, and I'm racking my brain. Where was it? But yes, I can say honestly and truthfully, yes.
Yeah.
But I don't know which one it was. I mean, I didn't grow up in Australia, so the Wiggles, I knew about it, but I kind of don't connect with it too much.
You're
But
from
yes,
New
I do.
Zealand, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you have your own like Kiwi Wiggles over there? Like, do you have like your own?
Um, the Kiggles.
Oh,
Yeah.
Now we had our own play school though. There was a New Zealand version of play school, so I guess we had that. We weren't completely deprived at the bottom of the world, but yeah.
You've done well, man, because like when you speak, I can't really tell that like your accent doesn't quite come through. I feel like you've it sounds very Australian until you said Canberra during this interview. Then I was like, oh man, it's the Kiwi for sure.
I did put a bit of sauce on that, but no, I think the Kiwi comes out if I'm A, around Kiwis, B, drunk,
drunk.
or C,
drunk.
yeah,
Definitely drunk.
yeah.
All,
Definitely
all of the
drunk.
above.
Honestly, he gets 2 drinks into him and he's like, oh, cheer, my bro. Oh, good, my bro.
Yeah. Well, there's number one. So if you hang around for a little bit longer, maybe I'll get there.
Beautiful. And does it like does it come out when you say the number 6?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Say it.
7.
Say it.
Now, if I had to say, I don't know, 66.
6. Okay. It's not as
That's
bad
pretty
as what
good.
I was hoping for.
Nah, hey, I'm not from the South Island.
Say it worse. Say it worse.
Nah, I'll
Do
just,
it better.
I'll just stay with, I don't know, have some fish and chips or something. I don't know.
Oh man, but it even sounds a little bit Aussie too. You've got
Well, I mean, I've been here almost, I don't know, 15 years plus, 20 years
Ah,
maybe.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair enough.
Yeah, fair. But Jack, you haven't lost it, mate. Like you haven't lost even a little bit.
I say that every time I look in the mirror. I say, you haven't lost it, Jackie boy. You still got it. Yeah, the trouble is for me is like my missus, she lives with me, which is quite nice for her. So she's there. My brother lives in Canberra. My parents live in Sydney. I'm constantly like it will never leave,
Yeah.
And I really do try and slow it down, but
I don't
Hey-
think it's worth it, man, because you
No.
know what the good thing is? It's hard for people to take the piss out of you because your accent's so hard to do.
all right, I'll teach you some. Right, say I want some chicken, and
Chicken
a can of Coke.
and a can of Coke.
Say it,
Chicken and a can of Coke. Have I got?
Scouser.
That's
Oh,
it.
It's Scouser.
Natural. See, the interesting thing is when Jack and Paul are talking in the rehearsal
Yeah.
room or something, and I literally sit there because when they talk amongst each other, then it becomes real, right?
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you've got both sides of the tracks talking, and they're not softening up for any Australian or New Zealander. They're not like, trying to sound like we can understand them. They
Yeah.
just go full natural. And when they go full natural at each other, it's like, I seriously think it's another language. It's
Yeah.
incredible to watch.
Bear in mind as well, like so Liverpool, like it's 38 miles, which is nothing, and the accents are different, you know. And there's a tribalism between Liverpool and Manchester.
Oh,
There's
definitely.
like there's genuine dislike between those cities and the people. I mean, if push comes to shove, you'd have the backs, you know. But with Paul, I do notice that when we are having a conversation, Rowan's just staring deeply at our mouths.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I love that he doesn't know what we're saying. I like that. But the thing I hear every day, oh, where about in Ireland are you from? I go,
Mm.
well, basically, the Dockers came over and then the accents. So I just say Dublin now. It's easier.
So does your bandmate that's from Manchester, what does he sound like? Does he sound like, one of the members of
Oh,
Oasis or what?
He can do a good impression.
Yeah. Take off
He's
Liam
like-
or no?
Like, no, I'm not. I'm doing poorly, right? This is how it talks. Everything is always like rolling out, rolling thunder, rolling good, you know. But maybe just listen to me a second. If we could just add a little bit more bass. What do you think, boys? What do you think? He's so tall. I don't think he sounds like one of the Oasis brothers.
Yeah.
I say
No.
maybe.
No, but you've
No,
got
you're
that.
right,
You've
mate.
got it down. It's that he's got a very deep kind of, I don't know,
Yeah.
timbre in his voice.
He's
Deep sort
got a
of
voice. He's got a voice for Thomas the Tank Engine, Paul.
Yes, yes.
Well, when Ringo retires, is he still going with that or what?
No, we gave up years ago, Ringo. He's all about the peace and love.
love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
No more fan mail. Peace and love. Warning, warning. God bless Ringo.
Does he still live in Liverpool?
No, he couldn't wait to get away from Liverpool. No, he's LA. He's full LA, Ringo, and I'm okay with that.
And Paul
It's
as
not
well?
like I can criticize them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You left, man. You left. I think Paul's still got a house there, but I think Paul lives in London.
Yeah.
Well, it's if you think about when they grew up, there was nothing there.
Yeah.
You know, it's a beautiful city now. But when they were growing up there, I bet you they were like, we cannot wait to get out of this shithole.
Yeah.
And it would have been, you know.
Well, I feel
Not
like-
anymore though. Watch your mouth. Not anymore.
I reckon when I was reading about the Beatles and read, multiple books, it feels like they did the hard yards in Liverpool, but then kind of worked even harder in Germany when they kind of got out.
In
there
Hamburg. In Hamburg. Just I think they were virtually playing like all day sets in Hamburg. It's actually a tough thing to be from Liverpool, like I say, and be a musician, because it is always that, oh, so do you think you're the next Beatles then? And you're like, would you want to be?
Yeah, wouldn't you?
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, like, of course, but it's a lot of pressure, that. Honestly, I went through a stage where I couldn't listen to the Beatles for a while because it was making me struggle to write songs.
Yeah.
Because you're listening to it and you think, why would anyone else have a go at that? You know? Leave it, you've won the Beatles, you can have it.
Yeah.
You can have it. It's all yours.
Yeah, but then you hear about like the Oasis guys and the Tame Impala guys went the other way and were like, well, I'll have a good crack at these.
Yeah, well, that was. I remember when I heard Elephants for the first time, and I was like, "It's a remix of John Lennon's voice."
Yeah. Me
I
too.
literally was like, and that was one of my first thoughts was, like where John had started going really the other way psychedelic.
Yeah.
I was like, it's like they found tapes of
Yeah.
John Lennon, and we're like, we'll just release that, and we'll call it Tame Impala.
Yeah.
But it's really good. They're huge in the UK, Tame Impala.
Yeah.
Like huge. All my friends at home, their favorite band is Tame Impala.
The Beatles from Down Under.
The Beatles from Down Under. the natural progression.
The Beatles went down. Oh man,
Who do you like? Who are your favorite bands, man? What do you like to listen to?
me. Well, I started
You're
off.
you're on your own, right? You've got a couple of hours to kill. What are you listening to?
Me. I'm actually listening to like heaps
The
of.
Grand Union, Darkest Horse.
Yeah, well, I was listening to that in the shower before we started doing this interview. But I was also like, man, I went back to the Beatles. Beatles were my first favorite band as a kid. I found out in year 2 that John Lennon was dead and it broke my heart. I thought the Beatles were like this is how sheltered I was as a child, were the biggest band in the world. And I thought one day I'm going to go see the Beatles, but they were broken up, 40 years before. But anyway, over the progression of years, man, then I went down the Oasis rabbit hole in the last, the last 2 years, and then now I'm just kind of at a weird point where I'm just trying to find music that else I kind of like, But my favorite bands are probably the Beatles at number 1. I would like to say the Rolling Stones and do it that way, but it's probably not, because I would probably put Oasis in second if it's my personal choice, and then you can put the Led Zeppelins and the everyone else after that.
I think with Oasis, right, and you can say, and they did steal off from the Beatles, and they stole from another band, the Real People, who were a band from Liverpool. I think they virtually wrote one of Oasis's first hits, and then they didn't give them any credit or money for it, which is always nice in music. But there's something about the way Noel Gallagher writes a chorus.
Yeah, it's so good.
And it's like, I was talking about this over the Gentleman Jack last night with someone, and I was saying, like, there's lyricists that come out, and just like they just hit a nerve with you, and it's Alex Turner out of the Arctic Monkeys. I think, like, as generationally, if you look at the lyricist of the generation, you know what I mean? And for me, like a lot of people I know, because we grew up with the Arctic Monkeys, people would say, "Oh, Alex Turner's top 3 greatest songwriters of all time." And with Noel, it's hard to argue, because some of those choruses, man, some of those Oasis songs, like it was funny actually. We watched have you ever watched Lucifer on Netflix?
Yeah.
Well, the end song is Champagne Supernova.
Yeah.
And Stu sent me a message, and he was like, "Man, how good is that song?"
Yeah.
And it's like a choir singing it, and he's like, it's just you I kind of have a funny thing with Oasis, and I go, these are stuff the Beatles, but what they did on their own merit was so far above and beyond, and it's such a shame they didn't make it in America, because then everyone would be having this conversation. Everyone would be putting them up there, whereas really they didn't do anything of merit, and they had a song on the Butterfly Effect.
Stu,
and it's such a shame.
Stu and I are massive Oasis fans, right? So that's something that we really have always bonded over. And I'm a huge Noel Gallagher High Flying Birds fan. So if you get stuck not finding something, that first album that he released is incredible. And we went and saw him.
What's the opening track? And it's like, "Can't fight this feeling."
Oh man,
that's such a good opening track, man.
But the second album,
opening track, oh my god, I'm getting chills. What an opening song!
The first album is amazing, and the second album, it took me a little more time, but it also is up there. And we went and saw him at the Enmore Theatre in 2012, and then we went and saw Liam maybe at the Hordern, maybe 3 years ago.
I was there, man.
Yeah. And like, it's cool watching, Liam sing those Oasis songs, and the crowd just was like jumping up and down, and it was awesome. But I just love Noel singing them more. They're like, you can tell he wrote those songs. He did all the arrangements, all the guitars, all the harmonies, everything is all him. And it's very rare, I think, that with a major band, a member splits off or, does their solo stuff, and you love their solo stuff.
Yeah.
He is one person. I love his solo stuff, almost like this with Oasis.
Have you
See, I
heard?
think. Sorry, one man.
Oh, thanks, man. I was just gonna say, have you heard that track that I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but it's on Noel's latest release, and it's just this track of him sitting in the studio, and they've thrown it on at the end. But it's beautiful. It's just him with his guitar singing, and it's just melodic.
Is it
perfect.
dead? Is it? I see. I
Dead
don't,
in the water or something?
Dead in the water.
Yeah,
Dead
yeah.
in the water.
That's
There's
it.
a video of him playing that in Dublin, I think, and it was like when he first played it, just in the sounds, yeah. And I remember watching that on repeat, on repeat,
Yeah.
on repeat, and people. There's a big thing with Noel at home, and they say, you know, like politically, he's probably gone the other way now, and he's
Yeah.
always, you know, I'm worth £200 million. What have they done? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
He's a bit, you know, they say, what's the story? Noel's a Tory. That's the big thing. Whereas, but if you think about Oasis there, so he's watching Liam going off the handles, right? Like and he's there and he's thinking, I'm writing these songs anyway. I can sing better than him. That's his opinion.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, why not? And High Flying Birds, but I love Liam's solo albums.
Me too, man. I don't think Liam's far
I
behind
don't
at the
care.
moment.
I don't care how many songwriters he's got on them.
Me either,
Those-
man.
Man, they're so good.
Oh, for what
They
it's
are
worth.
That first one, actually, funny enough, I came in on holiday. I think it was in 2017 that was released. I came out here for Christmas to see my folks, and it had been released. I remember just like going to different beaches and all that, and that was all I was listening to, man. And his second album as well. Man, he's, you know what? We seen him in the Enmore Theatre.
Yeah.
Might have been over 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
And he was, when he was playing the solo stuff, nobody wanted to see it, right?
No.
But I wanted to see it. I wanted to see it because I love it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like and like I said, I don't care how many songwriters he's got. Those songs, sorry, they stand on their own against some of the best Oasis songs, and they do.
Yeah.
And I'll
yeah.
fight any man that says different.
See, I'm
But
like that
then
with Noel.
the crowd would be dead, and then he'd sing an Oasis song, as you were saying
Yeah.
before, and the crowd would erupt. And he doesn't have to sing those songs
Yeah.
because the crowd sing them, because he gets a lot of criticism for the way he sings, and I mean, rightly or wrongly, but he still had like a 30-year career,
yeah.
you know. But when he does them, then the crowd sing them. But yeah, it's interesting, and I don't think it'll ever be fixed, that one.
Yeah. I
Like the
used to be.
Smiths, man, I just don't think that'll ever.
It's a shame. Yeah.
Yeah,
I used to be team Noel, like maybe a couple of years ago, and now I'm team Liam.
Wow, I'm just Team Noel. For me, it's like I don't know, Megadeth Metallica thing. I'm Team Metallica, but it's just I am Team Noel the whole way through. Like, I just love it. Love his songwriting.
I think a big thing is, and you know, this goes on in football, Messi or Ronaldo, you know, the Stones or the Beatles, right? And it's always just enjoy the fact you get to listen to it and watch both of them, you know.
Yeah.
The fact that, you know, who's your favorite Beatle, this always goes on. You got to enjoy that, and you get to enjoy that every time you listen to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I know I said before, you want to be the best on the lineup, and you do, and that's like a pride thing, and you want people to come out of it and say, but like, just be a fan of it, you know? You get to enjoy all of that. How lucky are we that we get to enjoy all of that? And it's like when people say, oh, you know, I wish you would have been around in the 60s when it was all happening and whatever. You get to listen to it and enjoy it all now.
Yeah.
Even the dodgy years of music, and there's a few.
Yeah. Well, you know, but at the end of the day, man, I think, you know, I just enjoy it, man. I enjoy the Oasis drama. I fucking love it, and I've just
I like
I'm
it when
right
they start
into it.
piping off for each other, man. It's so good when
I like
Liam just has a pop at him.
like whenever, like I just enjoy Liam just on his, like I only have a Twitter account just to watch Liam, follow Liam going.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I like the way he drunk tweets as well. And
Yeah.
when he's drunk tweeting, yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm convinced Noel is trying to get indoctrinated into the royal family. Like over the last couple of years, like I think he's going for a Sir Noel Gallagher, where Liam is.
And he'll
quite the
take
other
that.
way.
He'll take that.
Yeah.
I often think about the whole knighthood thing in regards to, like, you know, Paul took his, John sent it back.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it would be the coolest thing ever if you had Sir in front of your name.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
yeah, I get 100% what you mean.
you know,
man.
like
Yeah.
It's a bit feudal.
I understand Paul taking it, and I understand like Jagger and not taking it, because they would have grew up where there was two or three channels, and like the royal like they'd have shows, you know, in these little arenas, and it would just be for the royals, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And everything, you know, when John said, for all yous, what does he say? For all using the cheap seats, clap your hands, everyone else rattle your jewelry.
Yeah.
And then he's there in front of the Queen, like, oh, Vegas Queen, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they grew up in that thing where I think people probably have more disgust and hatred for the monarchy now than they did then, because he was still looking at them just on a little square in the corner of the room, being like, oh, what an honor it is to be in front of the Queen and play for the Queen.
Yeah, true, man. But it is what it is. But I feel like it's very hard to be in rock and roll once you become a Sir. You know, you kind of lose a little bit of that credential. That's why I don't think they ever offered it to Keith, and he didn't take it.
Did they offer it to him, and then he said no? Because no, he have you read his book? He berates Mick Jagger.
Yeah. I don't think they'd offer it to him, but I don't think he would have taken it if they did offer it to him anyway. You know. They would have been trying to knight him, and he would be smoking a cigarette as they're trying to put the swords.
Yeah. I don't want any epoxy awards. Yeah, he's one of the last outlaws, isn't he, Keith? You know.
Yeah.
And I want to see footage of the Stones, and I'll look at him. You know, he's getting older, and you know his playing probably hasn't been where it was
for a while.
But he's still Keith Richards.
Yeah, man,
you know?
And he's still kicking.
And that shit never goes away, man. See, he put a picture up on Instagram the other day, and he had a joint in his hand, and I was like, "You do you, Keith. You do you."
Man, I don't know how he's still kicking.
Yeah, I don't know how he's still alive, eh?
Yeah. And he's still drinking. He hasn't.
Oh, he's quit now.
He's quit. He's been quit.
He is. Has he? I read the other day that he's just switched to vodka, and that's where he's sitting at. He's just like, I just stopped drinking whiskey.
Just the lighter stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. He's just like anything that's brown, I don't want it anymore. Like in terms of liquor, he's just like, I'm deferring to the white spirits. That's still a go. He's Keith Richards, man. He can do what he wants.
Yeah, he can do
he's
whatever
earned
the
it
fuck he
now.
wants.
Yeah. Once you're that age too, man, you fucking do whatever you want. You know. You've done it all. You've got nothing to achieve anymore. You're fucking Keith Richards.
Okay, tell me then, for you personally, right? You get to that age. Tell me how you're gonna spend your days riding off into the sunset.
Oh man, well, there's
give me your bucket list. You know, gun to your head right now. How if they say to you, you know, you were Keith Richards, and they say, oh, you know, your liver's had that much damage, there's probably 6 months, or, you know, and they'll know themselves getting older that it's possible that any of them could go any day. And that's a sad thing as well, in reality of it's that generation of them, they're not going to be around for much longer.
Yeah.
And I think that is a shit thing. But
think
what would you do?
What would I do? I would do it what Keith Richards did in reverse. I would take all the hard drugs at that age, because I mean I've made it to
stop them now. Yeah.
Hey guys, can I say input? I think the doctors gave that speech to Keith Richards about 30 years ago. So I don't think he's going to worry about someone else telling the same thing again.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine regardless.
Mm.
Yeah.
They told him
He's-
they told him he had a year to go about 30 years ago, and he's still kicking. So
Yeah.
I just want to say that was like the longest wrap up I've ever
Quickly,
experienced. When-
before we get to the end, Jack, what would you do?
Oh, same thing, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Same thing. Yeah.
Mm.
Turn around. Look at the poster behind you.
The Fear and Loathing one. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
how I go out.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
That's
man.
how I go out.
I think you've earned it once you get to that age, man. It's like,
Yeah,
well,
well,
I'm
I
gonna
think
die any day.
Hunter S. Thompson was aiming after a lot of that as well.
That's it, man. All right, guys. I think we've covered everything,
Mm.
you know, in this interview. This
raw.
has been one of the
Yeah,
funnest.
I think me and Rohan were going to go on a different chat for a second there, because I think you guys might have
Sorry
forgot we
about
were
that.
recording.
I get a bit carried away sometimes.
That's all
man.
right. That's all right. It was just the
You
longest.
got me on a
um,
very, very passionate day.
It was a very closing sentence for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I feel like it got to a point, right, when I was like, you just said we're going to wrap up, and I was like, I feel like we've just been having another conversation for an hour.
So,
Yeah,
Listen,
almost
guys.
was.
Listen, guys, when I get back, let's go and have a beer anyway.
Hell yeah. Let's do
Absolutely.
it. I love a
That's,
beer.
man.
I love having a beer.
I love that. Thank you. I've really enjoyed that. Thanks, boys. It was just
Oh,
nice to see
anytime.
some people.
Thanks for coming
Nice
on.
to- After 2 weeks in a hotel room, faces is all I need.
Beautiful, man. Well, peace and love, as Ringo would say.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
All right, boys. I
Awesome.
think we should just finish it here.
Cheers,
for
fellas.
having us.
Thank you very much.